Hola, welcome to Building Conversations with Gross and Civil. We're bringing you conversations on civil engineering, construction, and personal and professional growth to the stories of women shaping the industry. Real talk, real experiences, and maybe a few laughs along the way. Let's start building. Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of Building Conversations with Girls and Civil. We're excited to be here and share a little bit more about the different organizations or different resources that we can share with you all in this next season. And today we have a special guest with us. Her name is Liz Gallo, and I'm going to let her kind of introduce herself and as she's part of WhyMaker. So Liz, thank you for being here with us. And if you can share a little bit more about yourself and also share about WhyMaker.
Thank you so much for having me. I am super grateful to be here and to talk with you and excited about the work you're doing. So I am Liz Gallo. I am a technology education teacher by trade. I taught technology education for 10 years, and that is basically STEM education. So we were doing hands-on learning in my classroom, and it was awesome. I now am the CEO of WhyMaker. I started WhyMaker about 7 years ago to help all students have great days throughout their whole school day by doing training with their teachers and getting their teachers to teach in a more hands-on, project-based, engaging way. Fast forward 7 years in this company, and we're really focused now on working with private businesses, nonprofit foundations, and government agencies to take their STEM mission and create educational content. So they want to share different things with K-12 teachers or students. We design the education solution for them so they can get their mission out.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Like it sounds like you guys are doing a lot for the community. Just me asking in general, do you guys focus in a specific area or is it more like around the United States?
So we're based in New York City. We do a lot of work in New York State, but we work all over the country. We've worked in California, Texas, Minnesota, Maryland, Maine, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Florida. We've done work in Mexico, Colombia,
Oh wow.
Belgium, and a whole other places in between. Yeah.
That is so good because you guys it's probably easier in terms of like you guys can just share what you have and help the community. So I would love to see that in Puerto Rico. So we'll try to get that going too.
Yeah, there's lots of good stuff to do in Puerto Rico.
It is. And probably if with the like children growing up and kind of seeing and having those information that's probably pretty useful. So that sounds great. And to get into a little bit more in this conversation, iMaker focuses on STEM education, but how would you define the engineering part for a student who might not yet know about what civil engineering, geotechnical, or construction engineering even is?
hmm So, STEM education stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And when you're a STEM education teacher, you are teaching all those things together, right? STEM education and STEM classes are the place where all of our subjects come together. We're not just teaching math explicitly for teaching math, and we're not just teaching science for teaching science. We're using our knowledge that we're learning from science and we're using our mathematical equations to help us design, create, and build to help people solve problems. And that is how we describe engineering for kids and we help them think of STEM classes, this place where everything comes together and we're designing, creating, and building with all of our knowledge.
That sounds great in terms of sharing it in a little bit of a simpler way for younger folks to understand. And even not, I don't know, but sometimes people are like, yeah, STEM is engineering and that's it. And I'm like, no, it's a lot more than just that. And it's great that you guys are putting a little bit of that kind of, not simplicity, but in terms of like making it easier for everybody to understand and kind of know a little bit more about that. And also, I forgot to mention we have Sophia here with us, so I'm happy that you can join us too and share a little bit more about WhyMaker. So, Sophia, if you want to take this on, that'd be great.
I also wanted to put a note in because on our first meeting with Liz, the way that she was so creative in like hearing out our ideas and then just simplifying. Because I feel like as engineers, we overcomplicate things sometimes. And it was our first time meeting. I gave her an idea and she was like, no, just simplify. You need this. You need to reach out to this kind of people. You need to do this. She just mapped everything out in a way that I would have never done because I was just looking at the idea that we had from another completely like different perspective. So on that note, in what ways does WhyMaker promote hands-on learning that mirrors the way that engineers and researchers in our industry work in the field or in the lab or in the office?
Thank you for that. Great question. So, that really kind of what you described, Sophia, is the work that we do. We take this idea that a company has and we simplify it so we can bring it to the education space, but simplify it in a way that's meaningful, authentic, getting the point across, and helps everybody see what the company is doing. So, that's kind of what we're doing, right? We are creating mostly hands-on learning experiences mirror what's happening in a company. So we're working with an aluminum company, and while this aluminum company makes aluminum cans as their main business, we use aluminum conductive tape to make a greeting card circuit, a circuit for a greeting card that lights up. So we're simplifying, the versatility of aluminum and how awesome it is to work at this aluminum company and doing this hands-on project where kids are designing a circuit for a greeting card with aluminum tape. We also, work with a wind turbine company, and we built a board game for them. And it teaches all about how we have to work together as engineers to build this wind turbine. And we can't do it alone. We have to work together with our peers because that's a huge part of engineering also, right? You have to work together. You have to listen to each
Mm-hmm.
other, especially when we're in like places where we need to be really safe, right? We need to be communicating and collaborating effectively with our peers. So, what we do at WhyMaker is we'll talk to some subject matter experts, people who are doing that job day to day, and we'll hear their stories and we'll ask really pointed questions. And then we'll take all that information back, and our instructional designers will brainstorm and come up with lots of ideas, and we'll see which one is practical that we can do and which one is still aligns with the company's vision.
And it's really cool the way you're saying it because I'm imagining myself if I were back in school, it would have been very memorable to have that experience as a student. But also, if I were a teacher, it's gonna be extremely fun to see the students figure out the solution and like who do I talk to and seeing how everybody else interacts. So I love that dynamic because at least for us, we've been working virtually for the past 5 years. So figuring out how to interact with people sometimes is like, well, we'll just do this Zoom thing and ask questions. But then when you put children or teenagers into the mix, you have to figure out how they're gonna be engaged. So it's really interesting to see how you guys are doing that.
Yeah, and the thing that we love about working with teachers in that situation is if we support a teacher and we share all this information with a teacher about a job, about a company, that teacher will tell their students this year, that teacher will tell their students next year and the year after, and all the other students that they come across. The impact when we do projects like this is huge. And if a company went to a career day to tell kids about, their company or their jobs, they might maybe talk to 30 kids. But if we do some work with a teacher, we're talking to hundreds of thousands of kids over time. So, and the kids see it too, right? They see the logo, they hear about the things, they see people that look like them in the careers. It really builds, it has this sticking power when we go that way with it.
It does. And Sophia mentioned this, but I would have loved that too in terms of like I just went to an event and they were doing like the popsicle bridges. And students were so happy just to be able to do that in general, and they kind of remember you and kind of remember how that made them feel, and they're telling their peers the next year is your turn. So it's kind of cool to be able to be part of that. And the way that you guys are doing it sounds a lot fun, integrating what the company has to what you can share with the kids. And if you don't mind me asking, how big it's your team in general?
Yeah, so we have a team of 19 people at WhyMaker who are designing instructional content, who are going out to schools to do trainings, who are working with students, who are selling the STEM products on our store. There's a large team here that keeps all these ideas coming, and then their creativity is endless.
That's what I was gonna ask, because it feels like it's a lot of kind of you guys figuring out what the company or whichever you need help with kind of develop the idea and share it, and how it's gonna be portrayed to the kids. Are the kids gonna understand it, or whoever your audience is? So it seems so creative that it feels like it's probably a fun job to be part of.
It is a fun job. They love it. Everyone loves working at WhyMaker, and there is a lot of creativity, but there's also a lot of needing to focus on the details and communication, right? So, as a teacher, when you write a lesson plan for yourself, you're writing it so that you can understand it. When you're instructionally designing content, you need to write it in a way that a wide variety of teachers can understand it in a wide variety of situations with a wide variety of kids. So it is a very special skill set to know how to communicate instructions to educators so that they can pass instructions to students in an effective way. So that's kind of where we specialize in.
For me, I'm seeing this like it's a contract, and you're submitting your submittals to the contractor and doing all this. So it's a whole engineering project in itself.
Yes, it is.
Also, can you share a little bit more? What role can professionals in the built environment play in helping the educators, the students, and especially in underserved areas learn about our field?
Some of the great projects we've done have been when professionals allow access to their job sites or give special tours of work that might have been completed also. So when we bring teachers or students to a job site and we say, look around, what do you see? What do you notice? Let me explain to you what everyone's doing here. It turns this like construction site literally into a tangible, real thing that's happening in my community that I could do that work one day. And that is one of the best ways that we can bridge that gap. Another thing that's great is when professionals come into classrooms and talk to kids about what my career looks like. How did I get here? What do I do every day? What skills are important to me? That conversation is really powerful. And that conversation is especially powerful when we have lookalikes and near peers. So wow, I'm a young high school girl, and this young 20-something girl came into my classroom and talked to me about her job as a civil engineer. I see myself like her. And when we build that relationship, that relatability, that really connects with kids, and they look up to them as a mentor, as a role model. So that's important. And also with that in particular, no one, like, kids don't know that these careers exist. Like, it's happenstance that you fall into these careers. If we're sharing with students what the career is, and the career is right for someone like me, it's probably right for someone like you. Let me tell you how I got here. It really is just taking down a bunch of barriers in that student's mind about what they can accomplish and giving them the practical tips to get there.
Yes. 100% yes. I love that because I would have loved at least in my high school to be able to see what it really was to be a civil engineer. Because I had an idea, but it's totally wrong. I thought I was gonna be like, yeah, just there building bridges or stuff. And yes, part of it is, but I don't do that right now. And I would have probably loved to be a little bit more, like, learned a little bit more before. And not only that, but also, like, as you mentioned, like, see someone like me doing that. Like, I'm a young, obviously young, but like woman. So sometimes I'm like, do I really fit in this role? Do I really fit into what I'm getting myself into? And I would have probably loved to see someone like me just sharing their experiences, sharing their struggles, probably because it's normal. Or I don't know. I feel like that's such a great perspective to be able to share with kids and how we can play a role in that specifically. So I'm going to take this to my job too to be able to do that because yeah, like what I do and what Sophia does or what someone else does is not the same in nothing. So it's kind of cool how you guys show it too.
And I love it that you went to the like I would have never like I know that going to the site is gonna be super helpful, but I find it helpful like for me when I'm in my computer all the time, I'm like I need to look at it in person. But the same goes like I don't know if you guys ever had this experience, but when I was little, I used to look at the highway construction and I would be like, another highway construction, normal. But now thinking about it, like imagine taking the different class, let's go to this highway construction and actually see what's going on. What positions are there? What are they doing? What materials are on site? Like that way, that will open up a lot of perspectives on not just being an engineer, but being in trades or working as an architect or being a contractor. And that, at least in Puerto Rico, it would help in understanding the difference between contractor or engineer. Because a lot of students go in thinking they're going to be contractors, and then they're like, oh my gosh, this is not it. So that would have helped a bunch.
Yeah. So this past summer, we did a great program where we took 20 high school kids and put them in a 6-week summer program. And in that 7-week summer program, and in that program, they spent 2 weeks at a national research laboratory doing the science behind renewables. They spent a week at a university talking about engineering and doing hands-on engineering projects. And then they spent a week at a community college learning about advanced manufacturing and doing CNC cutting. And then the last week they were on a job site, different job sites, seeing all the careers that were on the job sites. And the 20 kids that we had, we worked with local school districts and disadvantaged communities to pick these students, and they were not the best of the best, and they were not the kids who were going to fight to get to show up every day. They were kids in the middle, had interests, but were a little like didn't know really what was going to happen. A handful of those kids said at the end, I know that I want to go to college and I want to study engineering and I want to become an engineer. And there were a handful of kids that said, wow, I met someone from the electrical union and I really liked the work that they were doing. I'm going to go join the electrical union. He gave me the paperwork. I'm waiting for it to open and I'm going to apply. So when we give kids these experiences, it helps them understand what pathway to take so that they're on the right path earlier, right? They don't get to college and out of college and are like, man, I don't know if that was the right choice. If we can build that in earlier, kids really, really get a better understanding of what they want to do and how they can get there.
I love it because I love it. Specifically, my experience, my family works in construction. So I already was born into it. So I was like, okay, I'm naturally going to do this. But my mom didn't go to college or anything. So when I was applying, she didn't know like how to mentor or guide me. And she was my only resource at the time. So when I entered my first year, I didn't know who to go to. I didn't know anything. So having that before, I imagine a bunch of students are like they the impact you guys are doing, it's incredible.
Yeah, so that's a great story and a very typical story. My parents were in this profession, so I decided to go into this profession. Oftentimes we have families that aren't, right? That can't guide students into a profession, let alone into college. So the next best resource for kids figuring out what they want to do are their teachers. So we need to empower their teachers with a wide variety of options about what careers exist so that they can support kids to make those decisions.
Yes. And totally, yes. I love that in terms of not only is you guys are empowering the students, you're empowering the teachers to be able to help on that process. Because probably the teachers, they're there because obviously they want to help the kids. So giving them the resources, the house, okay, let me help you because obviously it's a lot for them. That sounds like a lot of help. And probably you guys are thinking, yeah, we're impacting just like 20 students right now, but probably those 20 students went and told another students about that, or told their parents, or told someone else, and now sharing it here um, to all of our listeners to kind of keep sharing that information. It's going to help a lot of people. So I'm glad that you guys are doing that.
Thank you.
So on that note, if we want to continue building chain reactions, but building bridges between K-12 education and the architectural engineering construction world, where should we start as professionals, as educators, but also as individuals in the field just being there?
I think both of you already said, I'm going to take this back to my employer and go tell them about it. That's a great place to start, right? Saying to your employer, hey, a lot of companies offer like volunteer time, right? So, hey, employer, we have that volunteer time. Can I go volunteer at a local school and talk about what I do at my job every day? Or saying to your employer, I know we're struggling to find workers. Maybe we can work with this education company, WhyMaker, and they'll help us build an education solution that'll help us work with local schools to boost that pipeline for workforce. A lot of the work that we do is very local. So like hyper local around a job site. We're doing a project in Brooklyn, and there's a construction thing happening in Brooklyn, and we're working with all the high schools within like a 3-mile radius of that job site. So we often do really hyper local stuff because that job site is going to need workers for many years to come. And the company that's doing that job knows if I go and talk to the local kids, then they might come work at this job site. They also will share with the community, like you said, all the benefits of this job site. And they'll remember our company and they'll work for us either here or elsewhere. And that's kind of all that they want. So, as a professional, talking with your company about this work, there are lots of great mentor programs that do exist for engineers. Those are an amazing resource to get tapped into as well. There are also just reaching out to your local school, right? Finding the local STEM teacher, finding an architecture teacher, and saying to them, hey, I'm local in your community. I work for this company. We work on this project right now. I'd love to just come in one day and talk to your students about my career, or I can Zoom in and talk to your class about it, and just find ways to connect. Another great tool, another great way in is all of our robotics competitions, engineering competitions, Skills USA, Tech Wars. always looking for volunteers to support teams and support kids. That's another great path to supporting kids and talking about careers. And they're always looking for volunteers and mentors. So that's another great one as well. But, we have to remember that teachers are busy and they're overwhelmed and they're overworked and they're really just trying to get through the things that they need to get through. So they don't always have the time to look and reach out. And they also don't always know who to look and reach out to. So professionals need to make an effort to reach out to teachers and support their work. And I know that teachers will take you up on it.
Yeah, and it's great that you're saying that it's also like it's not all on the teachers, it's not all on the school. It's also on us to be able to go and reach out to them, be that first step, or I don't know, like just be that tool to help them too. So I love that for you guys. And you shared a little bit more, but if someone wants to maybe contact you guys or wants to know what you guys do a little bit more and how can WhyMaker help them, how can they reach out to you?
So the best place to start is our website to learn more about the work that we've done. That is whymaker.com. WhyMaker.com. You can head there and find all about our projects. From there, you can send us an email. That is the best way to get in touch with us. info@whymaker.com. And then we're all on social media. So any social media platform you want, we are there. So you can find us on all the social media platforms, reach out to us there, follow our content. We often promote a lot of content for teachers because we have a huge following of educators and we share events for teachers, jobs for teachers, things teachers can get into. So if you know any teachers, also share it with them. They will find the work that we do interesting as well.
Perfect. That sounds great. And you guys don't worry, our listeners, we're gonna put all their information in the podcast description and our webpage so you guys can share if you know someone else or if you want to be part of what they're doing and obviously help the community that they're doing and kind of building on. So thank you so much, Liz, for being part of our podcast and share what you guys do. And it's, for me, it feels like it's pretty great and it's impacting the community and it's impacting kids and it's expecting probably professionals and teachers. So thank you for what you're doing for everyone else. And thank you for being here too. Is there anything else that you want to share before we wrap up this episode?
I just want to say thank you to you for all that you two are doing and supporting this community and helping girls see themselves in roles where they're actively solving problems for the betterment of society. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to chat with you here today. And I look forward to more awesome things from you all.
That sounds great. We'll love to keep collaborating with you guys. And thank you everybody for listening in. Don't forget to come back for the next episode and let's keep building. So see you guys. Bye.